Thanks for joining us. Karen, thanks for joining us.
You bet. Happy to be here.
I always enjoy spending time with Karen.
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes. We've got a great piece of beef here.
We do.
What do we got?
We have flank steak. Flank steak is a great cut for marinating and then serving up with a nice thin slices, which is what this recipe is going to call for. Flank steak is like all beef, very high in nutrients, high in iron, protein, selenium, B vitamins, great for us. And it's just a little less expensive of a cut that makes a great way to maybe fill a taco or do like we're doing today.
And that was my question.
Yes.
Is flank steak our typical fajita cut?
It could be, absolutely.
Okay.
Because when you slice that really thin against the grain, which I'm going to show you how to do, it really makes a nice tender cut. And it'll be marinated, so it's going to have great flavor too.
Exactly.
So,
perfect.
But today we're making Caribbean flank steak with coconut rice. All right, so this is a really healthy recipe. Let me show you how we're going to do this.
Okay.
First of all, we've got our flank steak ready to go. I have actually drained 8 ounces of pineapple.
Okay.
And so we've got the juice there for our marinade.
Okay.
And that's just going to set aside. That'll be going into our rice.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is 1/4 cup of pineapple juice, which is what this drained out to be. I'm just going to add a tablespoon of Caribbean jerk seasoning.
Okay.
And then we're just going to whisk that into there.
Now, should we look for low sugar pineapple in case we grill this?
Most pineapple
Okay.
is in its own juice.
Okay.
And that's the best one to use.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Because that's a great question when it comes to sugars and grilling. Sometimes that can cause a little bit of burn on that or the darkening. So,
Right.
good question. All right, the next thing we're going to do is add some cilantro. And I have a real handy little tip for cilantro. I want to end up with 2 tablespoons of chopped. So all I'm going to do is put it in a cup and just chop it with my scissors. It's a lot easier than pulling out that knife and actually chopping it that way. So you can see. Now, let me tell you about cilantro. Some people love it, some people really don't.
Right.
All right? The thing is, cilantro is kind of a really strong herb, and the finer that you cut it, the more flavor you're going to get. So if people in the family that maybe don't like a lot of cilantro, leave it in bigger chunks.
Okay.
They can
Maybe
pull
just
it
a
out.
tear or something like that. Okay.
Absolutely. So we're just going to put that right into our marinade as well. And then this is fresh squeezed lime juice.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to put that in there. There's our marinade, simple as that. Notice
Sweet.
there's no oil in this.
No, none.
None. So it's a very nice
And no
low-fat
added
marinade.
sugars
Exactly.
or no added salts
Exactly.
or anything like that too.
So if you want to hold that bag open,
Okay, yep.
I'll just pour this right in there. And then we're just going to put this flank steak. This is about 1.5 pounds is what
Okay.
the recipe calls for. Flank steak's just going to go right down in there.
Okay, and before we came on camera, we talked about making sure it's completely covered.
Exactly.
And kind of squeezing some of the air out and kind of squeezing
Zipping
it
that
up.
top, and then
zipping
just
that
make
top
sure
up.
that juice gets over all that
Okay.
meat. And then this is going to sit in your refrigerator for at least hopefully 6 hours.
Okay.
Maybe overnight.
Okay.
We've got one going. So that's what's going to really season up this flank steak, make it nice and tender. You know, the acids in the pineapple juice and that lime juice is what's really going to tenderize that meat.
Well, and the thing about this cut is some people may be intimidated by it because if you don't cut it on the
right,
cross
against
the grain,
right,
thank you, Karen.
right.
If you don't cut it against it, it can be a little tough.
Exactly.
But if you are cutting it against the grain,
Exactly.
it's a great piece of
Exactly.
of
Kinda
meat.
like a brisket.
So when we come back, we're going to
Grill it up.
cut it up, and we're going to make some rice.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see you guys in just a second. Okay, Karen, we've brought it from the stove.
Right.
We've cooked it, temped it, which
Right.
is also very, very
Exactly.
important. And then the one step that you always remind me of,
Yes.
Tempt it.
Beauty rest.
beauty rest. We
Absolutely.
got to tempt it.
So you can see I've used a grill pan, and
Okay.
you could use an outdoor grill or a grill pan either
And those
way.
are really cool.
Absolutely, and my pretty grill marks.
Yep.
So all I'm going to do is put that right there on my board, and I'm going to let you just tint it with a foil.
Okay, is that good enough?
Perfect,
Or, okay,
perfect.
nothing special
Nope,
about it, just
nope.
cover it up.
And it needs to sit there for 4 or 5 minutes. So while we're making our coconut rice, we're just going to let that rest.
Perfect. All right, we're going to slide
Okay.
this beautiful piece of meat over
Yes,
there.
yes.
All right.
This is going to be our coconut rice. All I've done so far is cooked the brown rice. Brown rice is a little healthier option. As a dietitian, I always try to encourage people to use brown rice versus white because it's got more nutrients in it. And then remember that the pineapple that we
Right,
had earlier
right.
that
You
made our
drained that
marinade.
off, right.
We drained it. Now we're going to put
Okay.
that pineapple right in there. We also have toasted coconut. All right, remember this is a Caribbean dish. So this toasted coconut, we're just
Can we
gonna
buy that toasted?
You cannot buy it toasted that I'm aware of, but It's so easy to toast.
Okay.
Kind of like toasting nuts. Cookie
Okay.
sheet, 350,
Little foil,
5,
put it
7
down, throw it
minutes.
in.
You're
Perfect.
good.
Make sure you get it out.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't burn it.
Don't burn it. Get it out.
And then we're also just going to add toasted almonds
Okay.
that we already toasted earlier. Again, same thing, dry cookie sheet,
Okay.
350 oven, 5 to 7 minutes. And then remember our cilantro.
Mm-hmm.
It was in our marinade. Well, it's actually going to also be in our rice.
Now, a question I have about herbs.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about fresh versus dry. I don't think you can buy dry cilantro.
Actually, you can.
Oh, can you?
You can,
Wow.
surprisingly.
Okay.
And it's usually 3 parts of fresh to 1 part dry
Okay.
to compare them. So
Okay.
if you've got, you're trying to, guess.
Right.
But usually figure this is at least 3 times more. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, do you use, when you buy fresh? I mean, because we're the time of the year we're in right now.
Right.
Not really in season for
Right.
herbs. I mean, is there a way to store those to kind of keep shelf life longer?
You can certainly store them in your refrigerator wrapped in a wet paper towel. That's a great way to do it. Some of the things we can buy, like live basil, you can buy some of those things already
perfect.
Still live that you can keep live.
Okay.
So then all we're going to do is stir this up. This is just going to be a really tasty rice with that cilantro in there.
Smells great.
Yes, isn't that pretty? Yeah. So that rice is done. That's
Okay.
as simple as that. It's going to be a really pretty side dish for this flank steak. Okay, Brian, so the rice is done. You want to pull
Sure.
the steak back over in there?
Well, here's our serving
yes.
plate. I'm going to set that out front right there
I'm just
for
going to
us
go
right
ahead
there.
and
Okay.
dish up the. There we go. Pretty. Okay. Now
Right.
then, we've beauty rested this steak,
Okay.
and I want to show you how to cut this against the grain.
Okay.
You can kind of see still the actual fibers
Right.
running across the piece of meat here. And also we're going to do then, I like to take my
On the
knife
bias.
on the bias, kind of
Okay.
lay it on the bias,
Okay.
and just trim it thin. Isn't that beautiful?
Nice, beautiful.
So just trim it
We
real
also
thin.
need to mention that we want to thank Hy-Vee for allowing us to come
Yeah,
to their test
absolutely.
kitchen
We're
here
here
in
in their
Manhattan.
cloakroom.
Yep. And we want to remind you in some of the other cooking segments that we've done. If you have questions, please go to your butcher. He can answer those questions. So the last 30 seconds we got here, we're going to plate this up.
Yes, we're just
Okay.
going to put these pretty strips.
And again, this can be cooked to your family's custom
Preferences. Absolutely.
temperature.
Exactly.
We've got a little pinker here because I like raw meat basically. but again, we want to thank Hy-Vee.
You bet, absolutely.
We can get the recipes at
Yes.
kansasbeef.org
Correct.
or
Beef, it's what's for dinner.com.
perfect.
Both places.
right.
Caribbean flank steak with coconut rice.
Perfect. See y'all.